Move on to this. South Africa's energy insecurity is hitting businesses and households hard. The undesirable situation has prompted businesses to come together now to try and find alternative sources of energy. Let's focus on discussions which are going on, which are expected to revolve, in fact, around sustainable aviation fuel, green hydrogen and liquid fuel at a two-day conference which kicked off this morning at the Gallagher Convention Centre in Midrand. That's where we find Newzroom Afrika reporter Pelane Phakgadi. Pelane, tell us more about the proposed interventions by business.
Well, yeah, business wants to ensure that there's equitable and, of course, sustainable direction into ensuring that there is that particular sustainable energy that South Africa finds itself in. We've been hearing from Saki a little bit earlier on, and, of course, they're just talking about the need to ensure that when South Africa goes into the infrastructure development, the rapid infrastructure development, to ensure that it has lights and energy all over, it must also ensure that the infrastructure rollout program goes into the African continent, so that when there's access power and energy, it is able to be exported into the African continent, so that there can be that particular increase in the South African economy. But let me bring in, of course, the Secretary General of SACIA here, that's Wendy Pelton, just to give us an indication, of course, SANIA, South African National Energy Association, rather. You've been dealing with a risk report and the energy risk, of course, in sustainability around it. And at this kind of moment, you'll be launching that particular report. What are some of those particular points that you've noted during your research?
Yeah, so we've been doing the risk report for 5 years, and we base it on uncertainty. So we look at the uncertainties in the energy sector, and some of the big ones obviously at the moment are around energy security, given load shedding occurring and some of the oil refinery issues that we've seen recently. But there are also a lot of uncertainties also around skills. Do we have enough skills in South Africa to be able to really ramp up, to be able to take advantage of some of the big opportunities that we have, like green hydrogen and PTX products? The other big one that we have seen coming to the fore is around storage, and whether or not and when that's going to come into play, and how that helps us with utilizing our world-class renewable energy resources.
So in order for us to literally not only go out of load shedding, but have sustainable energy for a better part of our future, those particular matters that you've just pointed out need to be sustainable, and they need, of course, to be justifiable with skills. Do we have them through your research? Do you think South Africa has those requisite skills to ensure that we do have sustainable energy?
We certainly do have some of them. I think the issue is going to be in the ramp up and how fast we can ramp up. If we're going to do green hydrogen, we have to have dedicated renewable energy resources that are additional to what we're using for electricity, and we're going to have those for hydrogen production. So I think that's part of the uncertainty. And in the report, we have a framework that we call People and the 4 Eyes. So that's people at the center, because they're the ones that drive the energy sector. And then we make recommendations on issues that we think can really have a big impact, how we should implement, how we integrate, and how we innovate. So if we do all of those things, we should be able to turn that uncertainty from a positive, from a negative into a positive, because you can shift uncertainty and reduce your amount of negative risk that you could have in future.
This kind of a conference looks to play a critical role, but how do you then place South Africa as an active player, especially around the green energy and the hydrogen and power source that some companies like your Evenplats and American Platinum, they're trying to mine in the Limpopo area, and then bring that into ensuring that there is that particular energy that you're talking about?
Yeah, so South Africa has some of the best renewable resources in the world. So we are really set up to be able to do green hydrogen and PTX products, and for our own use, but also mainly for exports. And we're seeing a couple of projects that are happening in South Africa and in our neighboring countries, starting to emerge as that market develops. But we're going to have to really make sure that we are competitive internationally, that we have the right skills, we have the right funding, and that we can compete against a number of other countries that are also looking at exporting into primarily Europe as the major market as it is at the moment.
Wendy Pelane, thank you very much. She is the Secretary General of SANEA, the South African National Energy Association. It has been in existence for about 98 years. Of course, they've seen, how coal has been able to power our South African country, and in this current stage, they are looking to ensure that they facilitate and as well as ensure that they put, strategic implementation as far as policies conference, policy shifting, rather Tembekile, where they're going to be able to, influence the policy direction of the country as far as green energy is concerned. So those particular conversations currently going on here at the two-day conference. It will conclude tomorrow. And of course, we've also seen that Tulani Kabashe, the former Eskom CEO, is also in attendance here. Perhaps we'll also have a word with him about the current situation at Eskom. Perhaps maybe he might have a thought or two on how to take matters forward.
Phakgadi, live for us at Gallagher Estate in Midrand. Thank you.